Hello, my lovely dears. Today's drama is about a rookie actress who dreams of becoming the most famous star in China, until her dreams are suddenly shattered by the news that she has leukemia. She feels like the whole world has turned against her until she learns there might be a cure, a perfectly matched bone marrow donor. And that donor just happens to be our Jean. From that moment, her life takes a 180 degrees turn. What role will he play in her journey? Will she be able to live, or will death come between them? We'll find out everything. The story opens with Lena in the hospital, bewildered. How could she get leukemia when she's always been healthy, athletic, and so careful about her diet? Just hours earlier, she left the doctor's office faint and confused, but before that, she was full of excitement to go audition for a new role. As an aspiring actress, she called an Uber. She stepped outside, got into the first car she saw waiting, only to find someone already in the back seat. It was Jean. She told the driver, "Under other circumstances, I definitely wouldn't get in and you've already got someone to drop off, but I'm in a hurry, so I'll let it slide this once." Then she added, "I promise a great rating afterward, don't worry," and off they went, to the very same hotel Jean was headed to. Midway through the ride, Lena suddenly felt like she'd seen him before. Jean admitted he felt the same. Lena's eyes lit up. "Did you watch Moonlight Story? I played the maid in episode 32. He blushed and said, "No, I'm embarrassed to admit I haven't." Just then her Uber driver rang her. He'd been waiting for her since earlier. "How could you be waiting? I'm already in the car," she exclaimed, realizing she'd gotten into the wrong vehicle. She apologized to Jean, asking him to let her out here, but he refused. He was going to the same hotel anyway. When they arrived and were walking inside, she accidentally bumped into him. Her contact lens case fell onto his clothes. With her eyes closed, she fumbled around to find it, utterly mortified. At that moment, Mr. Chu, the casting director who would interview her and also happens to be Jin's friend, walked up. Spotting them together, he strode over. "Who is she, and what are you doing with her?" Jean tried to explain, "I was just giving her a ride, nothing more." Mr. Chu teased, "Are you two engaged or something? That's a bit much, man." Embarrassed, Jean shot him a glare. Inside, Mr. Chu decided to give Lena a chance, offering her a part in a new series. At first, he wanted her to play the heroine, but then changed his mind. "No, you'll play the villainess. Let's see if you can pull that off." Lena threw herself into the role so convincingly that he genuinely jumped back in surprise. Yet still, he didn't hire her. Tears streaming, Lena stared at the donor registry and saw his name, Lin Jean. She was determined to meet him by any means. Fifi, feeling guilty, promised, "Don't worry, I'll find him, even if I have to dig him up from underground." She tracked him to the gym and pool he frequented. They waited for the right moment to introduce Lena, but his assistant was always nearby. When the assistant appeared, Fifi feigned a broken leg, collapsing in pain so Jean would rush over to help. As he reached down to assist, she accused him at the top of her lungs, "Help! He's harassing me!" Drawing a crowd, while Lena slipped through to approach Jean. Refusing to give up, Lena tried to stay optimistic. She went to see her boyfriend, carrying him some food, but to her shock found him with another woman, and not just any woman, but her own friend Fifi. "How could you do this to me, my best friend and my boyfriend together?" she cried. Fifi, who'd always been jealous of Lena, just smirked. Enraged, Lena flung the food in their faces and stormed out, completely stunned. She collapsed from the emotional shock and was rushed back to the hospital, where she learned of her leukemia diagnosis. The doctor told her there was still hope if she could find a perfectly matched bone marrow donor. Unfortunately, the only match in the hospital, a man named Lin Jean, wasn't ready to donate. Underwater in the pool, Lena signaled to Jean. He surfaced and asked, "What do you want now?" She choked out her story, her leukemia, her desperation, and how she discovered his name as her only match. He sighed, "I never planned to donate right away. I'm not ready." Lena begged, "I'm going to die if you don't help me. It might be better if I just die here." He bristled. Nobody likes being guilt-tripped with talk of death. Suddenly, Lena dove under and he shouted, "Stop messing around. But seeing her face down in the water, he dived in to save her. When she popped up coughing, he slapped her lightly. "You're impossible," he said, then stalked off. Still, Lena wouldn't give up. She followed him to his company building, pretending to be an employee. Security stopped her. She had no badge and escorted her out. Undeterred, she waited outside all day. Finally, Jean emerged and said, "Get in the car." Lena was stunned at how easily he agreed. Once she was seated, he surprised her. "Will you marry me?" He explained it would be a paper marriage. He needed a suitable bride, and she needed a donor. Each could benefit. Lena hesitated. It all felt so strange. He handed her his business card and said, "Think it over." That evening, Lena and Fifi debated the proposal at length. The next morning, Lena returned to the company and ran into Mr. Chu, Jin's friend. "What are you doing here? Don't think you can sweet-talk me into hiring you," he growled. Lena snapped back, "Mind your own business," only to realize her zipper was down. Mr. Chu's assistant rushed over to zip her up so she could enter. Chu watched, exasperated. Once inside, Lena told Jean she'd thought about his offer. Sensing her hesitation, he said, "No need to decide right this second. I need you by my side today at a very important exhibition. I hope you'll agree." With that, he took her to change clothes and brought her a fresh outfit. He handed her a stunning necklace and matching earrings. "These are exhibition pieces," he explained. "I want you to wear them. They're going on sale at the show, and they're the most valuable items there." She tensed as he leaned in. "What's wrong, heart racing?" he teased. She laughed it off, hiding her nerves for the sake of appearances. At the gala, she bumped into her ex, looking disheveled, and his spiteful friend who'd betrayed her. They smirked. "Look who made it here. How did you get in? Someone like you couldn't possibly be invited." Before she could reply, the friend jeered. "Isn't that the necklace up for auction? Are you modeling for them now?" Just then, Jean appeared. He asked, "Everything okay?" She shot back at her ex. "Come on, darling, buy me that necklace." Embarrassed, he signed the purchase agreement. Jean cleared his throat. "Are you sure you can afford this? It's $50 million. The ex paled and begged Jean to tear it up. Instead, Jean said, "First, apologize to my girlfriend. Then I'll void the contract." Sheepishly, he turned to her. "I'm sorry. We had a nice time together. I hope you can forgive me." His friend joined in. "I'm sorry too. I just loved it so much." Lena said she wanted to leave. Outside, Jean took her hand. "Listen," he said gently, "even when we marry, I'll be a good husband. We may not love each other now, but I promise you'll feel safe with me." In the car, as he drove her home, his grandmother called. He handed Lena the phone. "Here, you talk to her." Granny had heard they were engaged and, upon hearing Lena's voice, was overjoyed and insisted on seeing her. The next day they visited the hospital. Grandma had been admitted for exhaustion. When Granny met Lena, she exclaimed how sweet she was. Meanwhile, a nurse pulled Lena aside. Jean claimed Lena might have the flu, but it was clear he wanted a blood sample for some other test. Back in the ward, Lena admitted she still couldn't believe she was marrying a stranger. But after spending time together, she wanted to give their arrangement a real chance. The following morning at Jin's office, they drafted their paper marriage agreement. Separate bedrooms, no prying into each other's affairs, the usual terms. Jean left to fetch the registrar's documents. Lena browsed a bookshelf. He returned, swept her into his arms and whispered, "I'll get it for you. Now let's get married." At the registrar's, the official asked, "Miss, are you marrying of your own free will?" Lena smiled and gripped Jin's face. "Absolutely, we support each other." Jean kissed her, "You're radiant," and they played the part of a loving couple so the paperwork would go smoothly. That afternoon, Lena packed a suitcase and moved into Jin's house. The housekeeper showed her around and brought her to what Lena thought was her room. As she unpacked, she found Jin's clothes and realized this must be his room, not hers. She began to repack in confusion when Jean emerged, water dripping from a fresh shower. "What are you doing here?" she stammered. He explained, "We have to share a room. If the housekeeper sees separate bedrooms, Grandma will know." he reassured her, "Don't worry, I'll control myself, you just do the same." He stepped back, but brushed her by accident. At that moment his friend Mr. Chu and their mutual friend Shin, who's secretly in love with Jean, walked in, creating an awkward scene. They'd come to celebrate the newlyweds. Shin gasped. Chu teased, "I always knew she was gold digging for a proposal." Jean sent Lena off to prepare fruit for everyone. "Respect our marriage," he told the guests, then pulled Lena aside. "Be careful, my dear, don't get hurt." He reminded her that, as an actress, she couldn't let this affect her career. That evening they sat together when Jean asked, "Want an apple or two?" He startled her from behind. She dropped one on her foot. Concerned, he fetched ice and told her to treat the house as her own. Gently, he carried her to her room despite her protests. The next morning, she woke to a lavish breakfast and full royal treatment. Jean even offered her his credit card. She hesitated, but he urged her to enjoy married life and forget about her independent hustle. He revealed the card's pin was her birthday. He'd been born the same day. That night they dined with Grandma Chu and Shen. Granny chided Jean for marrying without a proper wedding, and he laughed. She was in a hurry. Lena set out a plate of spicy dishes. Chu warned Jean didn't like heat, but Jean grinned. "I'll eat it for her." Lena teased, "You need some greens too." Chu quipped, "He won't touch carrots," but Lena insisted. They laughed at how well she knew him. After dinner, Chu pretended to be drunk and asked to stay over. Jean refused and directed him to the bathroom instead. Watching them, Lena wondered if Chu's jealousy meant something deeper, yet she wasn't sure where Jin's true feelings lay. To test him, she slipped into a dress and stood before him. "Cold?" he asked. "Let's watch TV," she suggested. His cool response worried her. She considered getting him drunk to force a confession, but instead she leaned in and kissed him. The next morning she awoke in unfamiliar clothes, with no memory of the night before. Her heart pounded with fear. What had happened? She asked him again about his preferences. He said it was because she couldn't remember. When he realized she truly had no memory of it, he teased, "You stood me up, miss." She apologized profusely, insisting she couldn't have meant to. Over breakfast, he remembered her kissing him yesterday and reached out to touch her again. They both grew nervous. She ate quickly and he sipped her coffee, despite hating it, just to distract himself. Afterwards, he drove her to her acting agency. Before she got out, he tried to slip the ring onto her finger. She refused, not wanting anyone to know she was married. "Of course you'll wear it," he insisted. "Grandma will be watching." He gently fastened it for her. Through the car window she saw her agency director approaching Jin's vehicle, so she ducked behind him. The director, who'd long admired Jean and wanted to meet him, had been politely rebuffed and was heading away. Lena slipped into the agency. Inside, she ran into Jin's friend, also on staff, who tousled her hair in annoyance. She fled to the restroom to fix her hair. In a stall she overheard two colleagues gossiping that the director was desperate to get Jin's attention and use any means, even the red carpet, to do it. Lena decided to claim she knew him from afar, hoping the director would recruit her as a go-between. That evening, back at Jin's house, Lena crept into his study to learn his likes and dislikes. She spotted a childhood photo of him with a toy robot. As she turned to leave, he appeared in the doorway. "What are you doing in here?" "I don't like people in my study," he scolded. She stammered that she only wanted to avoid repeating past mistakes, like when she served Grandma spicy food. He smiled. "It's simple. I hate spicy food and vegetables, but I love custom-tailored clothes." Then, teasing, "Now tell me about yourself. Your favorite color, favorite fruit, what award you dream of winning." Lena was amazed. He already knew so much about her. Truly the Jean everyone spoke of. The next day at the agency, the director cornered Lena. "I hear you know Jean. What is he like?" "I want to bring him a gift." Lena lied. "He loves robots." The director insisted Lena accompany her to present it. Lena couldn't refuse. When they reached Jean and offered the gift, he declined. "I'm sorry, I don't accept gifts." He turned away. The director snapped at Lena. "You lied to me. I'll never get you on the red carpet now." Jean, overhearing, returned, "You know me." Lena shook her head. he urged. Just step forward and give it to me, I actually like it. The director handed it over, relented, and told Lena to prepare for the gala. Determined to make amends, Lena went shopping for a gift she knew Jean would love, a designer scarf. A kindly stranger helped her get it without payment. That night she nervously presented it and apologized for using him. Jean smiled. Funny you got me this. My family gave me that exact scarf for my birthday, and I lost it. Thank you. Embarrassed, she apologized again. He hugged her. Don't ever scare me like that again. The next day, Lena prepared at the agency for the gala. As she descended the stairs, a jealous colleague tripped her, tearing her gown. The event coordinator scolded her. Panicked, Lena called Fifi, who found an identical replacement dress. When Lena arrived in the new gown, Jin's assistant blocked her entrance. Apparently Fifi had tipped him off. Lena protested that she was his wife, not a stranger. He apologized but wouldn't budge. She tried to squeeze past and bumped into a wall, twisting her ankle. He rushed over, concerned. She insisted on attending despite the pain. He reluctantly helped her inside. Because she'd ruined her gown, she told the coordinator, "Don't worry, I'll sort it out and get another one." She called Fifi for help, and Fifi managed to find her an identical dress. But when Lena went to meet Jean, his assistant was waiting for her at the entrance. She realized Fifi must have tipped him off to help her. As she approached, the assistant scolded, "I'm not your husband or some random stranger. You should have come straight to me first." Lena apologized but didn't want to impose. He stepped toward her. Suddenly she stumbled into the wall, and the impact hurt her badly. Concerned, he asked, "Are you all right?" He realized she'd already hurt herself before arriving and was upset. He didn't want her to attend the gala in that condition, since she was clearly in pain. But Lena insisted, "Of course I have to go." Just as she was about to leave, her heel snapped and she fell, re-injuring her ankle. Unable to walk, she missed the gala. Back home, Jean applied ointment to her ankle. "I told you to let me handle everything," he chided gently, but she refused. She didn't want anyone thinking she only got this far because of her husband. The next morning, Jean invited her to breakfast. His assistant warned him there were rumors he was dating another actress. He said he'd dispel them quickly. Lena offered, "I can handle that." He asked if she was jealous. She said she just wanted to help. She suggested he post on Weibo. He had the celebrity platform to squash gossip. To her surprise, he didn't even have an account. She teased, "How do you live without Weibo?" He smiled, "Life wasn't fun until I met you." She laughed, "I'll set one up for you." He grinned, "Make the password your birthday." She replied, "It already is." It was his birthday too. While she was out, she came across a cute dog and started playing with it. She posted about finding the dog, just in case its owner was looking for it. And sure enough, the owner called her. It turned out to be the same guy who had once given her a free pie at the shop and refused to take any money. He asked if she could keep the dog for a couple of days until he could come pick it up. But of course, our guy is terrified of dogs, so this wasn't going to be easy. She had to hide the dog. Unfortunately, the dog ended up peeing on Jean's bed while he was still sleeping. When he woke up and found out, he completely lost it and told her, "That dog needs to get out of here." Understand? Now she had no idea what to do. Meanwhile, she had plans to go to the movies with Phi. She ran into that guy, Cho, his friend, and as usual, he wasn't exactly thrilled to see her. "So your friend told him, 'I've been a fan of yours for a long time, can I take a picture with you?' Then she said, 'Go on, stand up so I can take a photo with him.' He agreed and took the picture, but suddenly he started feeling unwell and stepped outside, accidentally leaving his phone behind. She followed him and found him struggling to breathe. He had asthma and seemed to have dropped his inhaler. He was worried his fans might see him like that, so she helped him find a quiet spot away from everyone. She then went back to look for the inhaler and found it on the ground. But just as she was picking it up, someone accidentally stepped on her hand and apologized. She returned and handed the inhaler to him. Thankfully, he started feeling better. Then he looked at her and asked, "What happened to your hand?" She told him it was nothing, that someone had just accidentally stepped on her hand, but she was fine. Still, he felt like he owed her something, so he asked how he could thank her for what she'd done. She said, "A friend of mine left his dog with me for a couple of days. Could you convince Jean to let me keep it and not kick me out?" He was surprised she asked for something so small. He had expected her to ask for a favor like getting her a role in a film, since he was a director and all. But she clearly wasn't into that kind of thing. She didn't believe in shortcuts and wanted to climb the ladder of fame on her own. Anyway, the guy realized that she and Cho couldn't leave the place together because there were too many people outside, and if they did, rumors would definitely start. So he decided to go get her himself. But just as he was about to, his friend asked, "Wait, you're actually going?" He said, "Take you? No, I'm here to pick up my wife. Are you crazy or what?" One day, it was Jin's birthday, and coincidentally, it was also her birthday. So she decided to surprise him by baking a cake, preparing some food, and setting everything up for a little celebration together. But the guy was running late. Then she saw that annoying girl had posted pictures online showing that she was about to celebrate Jin's birthday with him. That really upset her. She felt hurt and ended up eating alone. But the truth was, Jin wasn't going there to celebrate with the other girl. He just went to meet her, not knowing his wife had planned anything special for him. Of course, he had no intention of celebrating with the other girl. He only wanted to spend his birthday with his wife. Then the girl told him, "I've loved you even before her. If I hadn't traveled, we probably would have been married by now." He replied, "Don't try to rewrite what happened. What's done is done." He left her behind. When he got home, he found his wife sitting alone, eating by herself. He said, "You started without me?" She replied, "Well, you were busy celebrating with your little princess." He could feel how hurt and jealous she was. So he explained that he only went to meet the other girl, nothing more. Then he smiled and said, "And now I'm here, with you," as he pulled out a gift he'd prepared. He took her out, and when they arrived, she was completely shocked. He had gifted her a whole building. It was far more extravagant than she ever imagined. But he simply said, "Nothing is too much for you. You're my wife." Then he asked her, "So, where's my birthday present?" She looked down, a little embarrassed. "I didn't get you anything." He smiled and said, "That's all right, we'll make something together." So they went and made a cake themselves. He stayed unusually close to her the whole time, closer than he had ever been before. And in one quiet moment, he leaned in even closer, then kissed her. The next day, she was on her way to lunch with her friend when their son showed up and invited them to join him. But their daughter told him to sit in the front seat while she and her friend sat in the back. He was expecting to sit with her, but that wasn't the case. So they went to lunch together, the three of them, along with his assistant. During the meal, their daughter decided to tease him and said, "Fifi, isn't it true you own the apartment? You want to kick him out and raise the rent? Come live with us for a while until you find a new place." Then she asked their son if it would be okay for Fifi to move in. He said, "Of course, it's her house too. But if she moves in, it's going to be like a chaperone between us." He then suggested, "It might be better if you stay with me instead. After all, we're still married, so..." She agreed because she was already attracted to his assistant, and the whole situation felt like a smooth opportunity for her. Meanwhile, their daughter was waiting for the guy with the dog, but he called and told her that he wasn't feeling well and wouldn't be able to go out today. She told him, "Okay, just give me your address, and I'll bring it to you." She went to his place to drop off the dog, and when she arrived, she realized he was the same guy who had given her the tie earlier. It was a nice coincidence for both of them. He invited her inside to make her coffee since she had gone out of her way to bring the dog to him. Once inside, she noticed that he seemed a bit off, so he explained that he lived alone and hadn't planned on getting a dog because he felt that dogs. He said that dogs die quickly, but despite that, he got this dog because he believed that humans are the only animals who abandon others easily. People might even leave their families, children, and loved ones behind, but a dog won't leave its owner unless it's dying. He felt like he was a good person because of that belief. Since he was feeling sick, she decided to make him some food as a way of thanking him for giving her the tie for free. After preparing the meal, she left it for him and quietly left as he was asleep. When he woke up, He found a note from her telling him to take care of his health and eat well. The next day, their daughter was preparing for her trip as she had filming for her new TV series. Her son took her to drop her off and said, "You're not allowed to get involved with." He told her, "You shouldn't be around men you don't know, and you're not allowed to wear revealing clothes. No scenes with kissing either." She asked, "What's your issue with revealing clothes?" He replied, "I don't want to see your bones showing, especially your collarbone. No clothes above the knee, everything must be below the knee." He also insisted she wear her wedding ring and not take it off. She agreed, putting it on, and said, "Fine, I'll just take it off when I get there," discreetly. When she was about to leave, he stopped her and said, "Wait, you're leaving without saying goodbye to your husband, your love?" He hugged her like she was leaving for good, not just for a few days. Later, while she was at the filming location, there was an actor working with her who kept trying to get closer. He said, "Come on, let's go over the script together." He was getting closer, trying to touch her in some way, but she wasn't into it until Cho, our son's friend, saw them and helped her out. He told him, "Sorry, she and I are going to read the script together." Then he took her and walked away. It turned out that the boy who was trying to get close to her was the same troublemaker girl who had pushed him towards our daughter to take pictures and send them to Jean. Of course, her plan failed. Anyway, our daughter was sitting there reading the script when it started raining, so she grabbed an umbrella to give it to Cho. That's when she heard him talking on the phone, yelling at his father, saying, "Just because you adopted me and gave me all your possessions doesn't mean you can decide who I'm going to marry," and then he hung up the phone. He was there, feeling both sad and angry at the same time. Then, Hannah got closer to him to give him the umbrella, and he got startled because she had been eavesdropping. He asked her, "Doesn't it bother you? I'm just a piece of meat." She replied, "Why would it bother me? You're handsome, you won an award for Best Actor, became a director, and are successful with fans. How could I feel sorry for you?" He said, "Oh, so this is your way to get close to people? The same way you used my friend to marry you and reach fame." She told him he didn't know anything and that she was wrong for thinking about him. She walked away, leaving him behind. But of course, he knew he was wrong and said that in a moment of anger. He went to find her and make up with her, only to find the same guy who had been trying to get close to her. He was trying to force her to drink, so he pulled her away to separate them, saying, "That's enough, you're just a clingy kid." Anyway, when they went outside, he apologized to her, telling her that he didn't mean to say that. At that moment, the guy who had been trying to get close to her took a picture of them together to send it to the other woman. But Cho, our son's friend, called and told him, "Your wife has someone trying to get close to her, so be careful." That's when he decided to go to the hotel and stay with her tonight. Don't misunderstand, guys, but suddenly love and jealousy came rushing to Jean, our son, and he didn't show up empty-handed. He brought her a dog as a gift, and after he entered, while she was in the room with him, she got a message saying they had changed the filming location, so she would have to go and book a room at another hotel. Of course, our son went with her, and they had initially planned to book 2 rooms to avoid rumors. But our son told the receptionist to lie and say there was only 1 room available, so she would stay in his arms tonight. In the room, he went to take a shower, then came out to sleep like that. She told him, "It's cold, put on your clothes," but he refused, saying, "I'm really hot, I can't," and then added, "What do you think I'm going to do to you? You're the one who can't control yourself." She was happy and lay next to him, saying, "No, of course not, you're not even on my mind." But in reality, she was nervous and couldn't sleep, so he told her, "Calm down and sleep, I won't do anything to you," and they both slept peacefully. But when she woke up, she started getting closer to him since he was asleep and didn't feel anything. Suddenly, he woke up wanting to kiss her. She told him, "No, I haven't brushed my teeth, wait a second." Unfortunately, he didn't wait. Then she left to go to the shooting location, only to find the actor leaving, and they told her they had kicked him out of the show. She was confused about what had happened until our son called her, saying he needed to talk to her about something important. But before he could meet her, he had an accident. When she went to the hospital, the doctor told them that he had a broken leg and a concussion. She went in to check on him while he was sleeping. As she got closer, he suddenly woke up and said to her, He asked her, "What are you doing?" She replied, "Well, since you yelled at me like that, I guess I'm okay now." He was surprised to see her there. As soon as Cho walked in, he asked, "Who's this? If she works for us, fire her." Everyone was shocked because that meant he had lost his memory. But the doctor told them his condition was normal, explaining that due to the concussion, he might not remember for a while, but his memory would likely come back. When she went back to his room, she found the troublemaker girl there, holding his hand. The last 2 years of his memory had been wiped out, and before those 2 years, he had been involved with this girl, and they hadn't broken up yet. Hannah got upset, left the room, and walked out. But it wasn't that easy. She would be upset for a while, but she would return to him. She tried again to make him remember her, so one day she went to him with some soup. As she was about to give it to him, she accidentally spilled the soup on her hand and noticed she had burned herself. She let it go, trying to give him the soup, but it hurt, so she paused for a moment. She told him, "If you need anything, I'm here." However, he wanted to call the nurse to help him go to the bathroom, but she refused, saying it was unbelievable that his wife was right there, and he wanted the nurse. She insisted and took him to the bathroom. Later, the nurse came in and realized their daughter had brought him the soup. She told him, "I'll make you soup next time," but their daughter replied, "No, honey, I'll make it for him, I'm his wife." He kept complaining as usual, saying, "I'm not interested in you making it for me." She said, "Well, we're not really together except on paper, and that's the lowest point of disrespect. You were just begging to get your ring," and suddenly rumors started spreading about her and Cho, Jin's friend, that they were dating. Her manager called her to come immediately to discuss how to handle the situation. But, of course, we all know it's all lies and there's nothing real about it. At the agency, as soon as Cho saw her, he pulled her aside and said, "Come with me." She told him, "It's not a good idea for us to be together. What if someone sees us again and thinks the rumors are true?" He replied, "What rumors? We're fine with each other, and then let's post something to deny it and get it over with." She was walking with her dog when she ran into Nan, the boy whose dog had gotten lost, and she had returned it to him. They sat together, chatting and eating ice cream, but she felt upset, so he asked her about it. She told him that one of her friend's husbands had had an accident and forgot about her, no longer remembering her. He replied that memories are the most important thing to a person, and when they're gone, the relationship ends. That's when she realized she needed to create new memories with him, even if the old ones were lost. She thanked him and left for the hospital. She started using a new tactic, sometimes charming him with sweet words, but he would push her away, and other times, she would flood his room with romantic gestures. He became afraid to go in and sit there until she finally gave in and decided to just impersonate him. When he was finally out of the hospital, she went to pick him up in the car, all dressed up as if she were going to a wedding, and put him in a situation where he had no choice but to ride with her instead of the other woman. Unfortunately, it felt like she was driving at a turtle's pace, and he kept telling her, "Step on the gas, let's get there." While she was holding the steering wheel like her life depended on it, people were running past them, speeding ahead. Thankfully, they arrived in 2 hours, thanks to her ninja-like driving skills. When they got there, they saw a dog at the house. They were confused and asked, "Whose dog is this?" She replied, "It's the dog you gave me as a gift." But the other woman said, "Impossible, he's scared of dogs, and he was also confused and didn't believe her. He told her, "That dog needs to leave," but she refused, saying, "It's my dog and it's staying here." He replied, "I said it's leaving, so it's leaving. My word goes," and then he walked off into the house. She went to her room to check on her dog and decided to make him admit it. She went back and reposted the post he had shared about the dog before he lost his memory. His fans had sent him dog food as a gift. He was surprised, wondering when that post went up and how he suddenly became so fond of dogs. Meanwhile, our daughter decided to seek help from a friend, so she asked Cho to help her win his heart back. He told her, "Forget it, you won't be able to fool him." She fell into his trap twice, so she slapped him to make him quiet. He told her, "I was just joking," and then started planning with her what to do to make him fall in love with her again. She went home and entered his room, telling him she wanted to take his measurements to have a new suit made for him. She started getting closer to him and touching him, until when she went to take his measurements, she ended up in his arms. At that point, he pushed her away and asked, "What do you want exactly?" He started undressing to scare her, but she responded casually, "I'm waiting for you." He felt like she was pretending, so he backed off. She then spoke to Cho, telling him that his technique wasn't working. He told her, "Then let's move on to technique number 2. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach." The next morning, she woke up and made him breakfast, though it didn't make much sense. She kept telling him to wake up and saying things like that. As soon as he tasted it, he wanted someone to take him to the hospital, so he had his assistant taste it too to see what was wrong with it. But she was still convinced it smelled good. He told her, "Well, you try it, but it's a shame for you to make it and not taste it." As soon as she tasted it, she apologized, grabbed her things, and left. That night, she went into his office, sat on the couch far from him, and said, "You know I'm participating in the celebrity race tomorrow, the one you arranged for me. They called me specifically to come, and they told me I had to attend because I'm obviously very important." He pretended to be talking on the phone and said, "Regarding my celebrity race." Regarding tomorrow, there was a certain actress he didn't want to attend, so she quickly snatched the phone from him and said, "You're trying to ruin my future." But she realized that he wasn't actually talking to anyone on the phone, he was just fooling around. No one had called her specifically, and she would participate on her own terms. The next day, the race began, and Cho, our son's friend, was also going to participate. But, of course, we all know Cho has asthma, so running is tough for him. In the middle of the race, our daughter noticed that he was struggling to catch his breath, so she slowed down her pace. She kept running beside him, asking if he was okay. He told her, "Stay away from me and continue the race." But she refused, saying, "On the contrary, if I stay next to you and you faint, I'll be here to help." And she said, "People will love me more than you can imagine, so the race doesn't matter." But of course, she was joking because she was actually concerned about his health. Suddenly, some journalists appeared, so he decided to finish the race and stop to do an interview with them. She kept running until the end of the race, and no one expected her to be that fast and able to take first place. After the race ended, she saw our son standing there and asked, "What are you doing here?" He replied, "I just came to watch, and I'm not alone." Then she saw he was with the other woman. Cho looked at his friend and said, "Sorry, I'll take your wife for a minute. I need to talk to her about something." He gave them a side glance, clearly annoyed. Then the four of them went to have lunch together. Jean and our daughter couldn't stand each other, and each of them was trying to annoy the other. So, he put food in front of the other woman, but our daughter, being fiery, picked up some very hot food and threw it at Cho, telling him to eat and enjoy. They continued to have this food fight in front of them until Cho yelled at them, saying, "Enough, sort out your issues instead of bothering people with your drama." After they left, she put on a piece of clothing to look like she was dragged through the mud, pretending to be like Elam Shaheen. He told her to leave, saying, "Get out, don't mess with my room." She sulked and left the house, wearing that outfit and feeling cold. She then went to Nan's house since he lived next door, and said, "I'm sorry for showing up like this, but I didn't know where else to go looking like this." He brought her something to warm her up and something to drink, then sat listening to her about what happened. She told him that she was married on paper, but her husband didn't remember her. Every day, there was a different fight between them until she fell asleep from exhaustion. But she woke up in the middle of the night and asked him what time it was. He told her 12:30. She said, "Oh no, I have to go back home." He replied, "We enter relationships to be happy, so if being with your exhausted husband is affecting you, you should leave." She took those 2 sentences and went back home, feeling sad. But Jean was waiting for her, and as soon as she sensed his presence, she stepped back. He grabbed her to stop her from falling and moved closer to her. She stepped back even more, but he wanted to smell her breath, hoping she had drunk something. She told him, Stay away from me, what's wrong with you? Why are you suddenly interested in me? In a moment, she transformed and started crying, saying, It's not fair, you used to treat me so well when we first got married, and now you can't stand me. She asked him, So, have you started to love me? The next day, she woke up to find her friend Nan calling to check on her and her relationship with our son. She told him not to worry, I used my feminine weapon and cried, so he felt sorry for me. At that moment, our son entered, heard her and said, You turned out to be a great actress. She got upset because she wasn't acting the night before. She had said that to her friend to reassure him. In Jin's room, the other woman was there. Our daughter walked in and said, Excuse me, could you leave? I don't want you staying with my husband. He went out, but our son didn't come out as he was asleep, and he knew she had put something in his drink. She took it, of course, to have it tested. She had been using that sedative for a long time, which affected his memory after the accident. As for our daughter, Abu Cho, Jin's friend, called her to meet him and offered money if she stayed away from his son. She told him there was nothing between them, but Cho arrived and confronted him, asking how he could do such a thing and not interfere in her life. Cho responded, saying, No, I will interfere, and this girl will leave immediately. She replied, I told you there's nothing between us, and you have no right to control him. Cho didn't wait to hear more and told her to leave with him. Her father grabbed his stick to hit him, but she stepped in to protect him, taking the hit herself. At that moment, Cho was shocked and asked her if she was okay, then took her to leave. He asked her, Why did you defend me? Before he could finish his sentence, he saw Jin in front of him, who told him, Leave my wife alone. To ensure justice for his daughter, Jin told her father, The one you hit is my wife. The man was taken aback because he didn't have enough information, given his masculinity. He tried to apologize, but Jin refused the apology and said, Nothing can compensate for the pain my wife felt. For that reason, he terminated their business contract, took his daughter, and left. He returned home and carried her to the room himself, making sure she lay down so he could apply ointment to the bruise. As he was applying the ointment, she turned her face to the other side and said, I'm attracted to you, but I'm afraid you might go back. I want to be with you now that you've become kinder. Honestly, I'm telling you this while looking away because I'm afraid to say it to your face. She turned her face back and added, If there's no one you love, could you give me a chance to make you love me? He replied, You made a big mistake, you shouldn't have said that now. He got closer to kiss her and then told her that he loved her and would never be able to forget her. And of course, his memory had returned ever since he stopped taking the herbs he had been using. The next day, he went to confront that schemer and face her with her misdeeds. She told him that she hadn't meant to ruin his life, she just wanted him to come back to her and stay away from our daughter. He asked her if she was also the cause of the accident, but she replied, What difference would that make to you? He told her, You've destroyed the last bit of love and respect I had for you. She grabbed him and said, Please, don't leave me. Even if you want to stay with her, just stay by my side, but leave her. He walked away, and at that moment, Nan, our daughter's friend, appeared. He was handing her tissues to wipe her tears, and it seemed like he had something big in mind. I had said before, what's the point of all this kindness? At least, with Lena, she used to get. She was getting dressed because she was traveling to attend a party. While getting ready, she noticed a strange locker and tried to open it, but our son came in and asked her what she was doing. She replied, What's wrong? Why are you so startled? You seem like you're hiding something. She added, Anyway, she doesn't want to see it, it's fine, and went back to adjusting her clothes. Eventually, she traveled and went to the party with Cho, who was holding her hand since they were both acting together in the same show. Later, while she was standing alone, her friend Hanan approached. She was surprised and asked what he was doing there. He explained that his company was promoting the event, so he was there, but he left soon after because he had another appointment. Cho, of course, was watching them until two people came over to talk to her. When Cho saw them, he immediately stepped up next to her and told them, Sorry, please leave. Her boyfriend asked me to look after her while he was away, so he took her aside and asked her who the guy was she was standing with earlier. She told him, "He's just a friend, why are you worried?" In the hotel room, she was standing casually with Cho, who was moving around the room. She got dizzy suddenly, but he thought she was joking. However, when he saw that the situation was serious, he told her to sit down and called our son to come over. When Jean arrived, he asked her what was wrong. She looked at Cho to silence him and said, "It's nothing, I just missed you," and hugged him. Later that night, she came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel and approached him to ask if he wanted to go out, saying she was free tomorrow. He replied, "Why are you being extra nice to me?" She apologized and said, "It's my fault." She asked, "Am I treating you badly or what?" Then she told him to take a shower before she changed her mind. He quickly went to shower, and when he returned, he found her asleep while writing details for the schedule the next day. He called his assistant to cancel any meetings and to arrange things so they could spend the day together without any interruptions. The next day, they went to pick out clothes first, and she specifically chose matching outfits for couples. As soon as they left the fitting room, she started teasing him and asked, "Are you in a relationship? Can you add me on WeChat?" He replied, "Sorry, my wife gets jealous." Honestly, she was very sweet, and they spent a lovely time together. The next day, she took advantage of the house being empty and went into his room to open the safe and see what was inside. She found papers from the hospital with a report. The papers revealed her medical condition, which showed that she had anemia, not cancer. She was shocked by Jin's actions. As soon as he arrived, she confronted him and said, with deep emotion, "How could you hide something like this from me? You knew and didn't say anything." He replied, "Let me explain. I wanted to get closer to you at that time, and when you went for tests at the family hospital, I swapped the reports so you'd come to me on your own and we could get married. I was ready to acknowledge you as my wife in front of the world." She was furious and said, "You're selfish. Can you imagine how I felt, knowing I have cancer at just 21? He tried to calm her down and speak more to justify his actions, but she refused to listen any longer. As soon as she tried to leave, she fainted and he quickly. The doctor told him that she needed rest, but not much. When she woke up, she tried to leave the house, only to find that he had stationed his men outside to prevent her from leaving. She called him, yelling that this was against the law, but he didn't care. All he cared about was that she wouldn't leave him. She decided to put on a strange act, took her dog's temperature, and told the maid that she was dying and really sick so he would come and let her leave. However, he had caught onto all her tricks and told her, "You're not leaving, stay here." Then he added, "I heard you want a divorce, what are you going to do with that?" She begged him, "Please, have mercy and let me go," and kept pushing and even bit him. But at that moment, she became overwhelmed and collapsed on the ground. She decided to leave the blanket, but then changed her mind and locked it in the room. She called for her guards to quickly open the door so she could escape. As soon as she called out, they came and opened the door, allowing her to flee. He rushed after her, but when he got out, he found his grandmother standing behind her, scolding him for locking her up. At that moment, he managed to calm her down because his grandmother had prevented him from getting close to her. He tried to convince her to stay, pleading with her not to leave him. He explained that he had known her before the hospital incident when he had gone to buy a birthday cake. He didn't know because the shop didn't accept payment via credit cards. He saw her buying a cake and she told him she could buy one for him, since today was. It was also his birthday, and since that moment, he hadn't forgotten her. He fell in love with her at first sight and couldn't believe he saw her again. He wanted to get closer to her, but unfortunately he chose the wrong way to do so. This made her feel like he had bought her or considered her his servant, and she couldn't stand being in the same house with him anymore. So, she took her things and left. Of course, life without her was incredibly difficult for him. When she arrived at her house, she found Asho sitting there without any manners or decorum. He said to her, "I came to see what you've been up to, and by the way, I specifically hit him for you to make you angry." She reached out to take his hand to see it, and he felt strange emotions. He told her, "Move aside," and she looked at him. By the window, she saw Jean standing in the rain, as if he was waiting for her to come out. She quickly closed the curtain before he could see her, then went to eat with Cho. Later, Cho told her he had to leave because it was getting late. She looked for their son but couldn't find him because he had gone back to the house and sat in the bathtub, feeling as though he was about to die. Meanwhile, Cho spoke to two girls, asking them to come ride bikes with him, which she found strange. She told him, "No, I'm not awake and I can't forgive you." He replied, "Listen to me, I'll give you money." She said, "Okay, fine, I'll ride with you today until you go bankrupt." They rode together, going down, shouting, and releasing their energy at the top of their voices. This caused Cho to get even more involved. His feelings for her grew stronger, while their son was trying to jump in her path wherever she went, asking her to give him a chance. She asked him to leave, and he listened to her, but then he appeared again as she was heading to eat. She said to him, "You again?" He replied that he would follow her anywhere until she forgave him. He kept walking behind her until they reached the restaurant, where they sat down to eat. She ordered spicy food and a drink, knowing he didn't like spicy food. However, he decided to eat it and forced himself to do so. Meanwhile, she kept adding more chili and told the waiter that the food wasn't spicy enough, asking for more. The poor guy was suffering because of it. Afterward, she returned home, and he was still following her. She saw him standing under her window, so she opened the window to look at him, and he was exactly the same. One day, she had a job interview at a strange place, but it turned out to be a trap. The man gave her juice with a sedative, and after she fainted, Cho arrived to find her unconscious, pulling at his clothes, saying she wanted to get closer to him. It turned out that the snake and Nan were behind this, and they had set him up. They called Cho to put him in a difficult position, and their son came in unexpectedly. However, Jean was smart and realized it was a scheme. He took their daughter with him to the house, and she kept hitting and pushing him until she fell asleep on the bed. The next day, when she woke up, she found herself in his arms. She jumped up in shock. He was feeling exhausted, holding his head, and said to her, "What's wrong, Cat? You're the one who made fun of me yesterday." She replied, "Impossible, that didn't happen." He reassured her, saying, "I was just joking, nothing happened. Please forgive me and let's get things back to normal." Meanwhile, Cho's father hit him because he stopped listening to him, which caused injuries and led to him being hospitalized. The next day, their son went to the hospital due to a fire there, and Cho was badly injured. When their daughter went to visit him at the hospital, Jean told her that he had died. She couldn't believe it and said, "You must be lying." But unfortunately, that was the truth, and she cried because he had been her closest friend in recent times. When she got back home, she was deep in thought. She went to the window and saw Jean standing outside. She went down to see what he was doing there and why he hadn't come up with her. He told her, "I don't want to be alone, and I know you don't want me." She hugged him and said, "I want you. After what happened with Cho, I feel like if I miss another chance with you, I might regret it later." He hugged her tighter. The next day, she woke up to find herself sleeping next to him, but the police arrived to question him about several things. They were suspicious that he had died because of a woman, as they found a ring at the crime scene. This meant that the owner of the ring could have been involved in the incident. They wanted to know if there was a particular girl who was close to Cho. He asked them to check. When he saw the ring, he was shocked because it was their daughter's ring. However, he told them that he didn't know whose it was. After they left, their daughter wanted to know what they had said. He told her that it seemed like the person who did this to Cho wanted to frame her, and she was his main target. He then asked her about the ring. She explained that it had been with Cho some time ago, and she had lost it, so it must be the person who killed Cho. At the crime scene, suddenly, Jean received a message from an unknown person asking him to take their daughter to a specific location, where a gift was waiting for them. When they arrived, they found a phone with a picture of their daughter pushing Cho toward the water. However, that wasn't true, as she had been trying to hold him to prevent him from falling. They took the pictures with a specific angle and perspective to make it look like something that didn't actually happen. They returned home, but unfortunately, the police were waiting for her because the picture had spread everywhere. They took her in for questioning, but the evidence wasn't enough to prove the murder charge. However, she was still a suspect. Their son bailed her out, providing a guarantee for her place of residence. One day, he decided to do a press conference, and their daughter couldn't understand why he was doing it. The support came from actress Lena, and they had been waiting for it for a year. People were shocked. The second piece of news, though, was going to be announced by him personally. At that point, their daughter stepped up to tell the reporters that she didn't know anything about the second piece of news and asked them to wait until Jean arrived. At that moment, the snake arrived, accompanied by a girl who was our daughter's friend, someone she had helped before and considered her close, but she betrayed her in an instant. The important thing is that this troublemaker said she had come to ease her conscience and tell everything that happened so that her friend Cho could rest in peace. The girl next to her said that our daughter had fought with Cho, and this happened right in front of her eyes. She wanted to push her into the water, which is why she took a photo of them. Now, the girl was standing there, not knowing how to defend herself, astonished by how people could be so deceitful and hypocritical. But suddenly, Jean entered the room, and it was no longer his place. Let me introduce the late one. Of course, it was a huge shock, but Cho began explaining to the journalists that this troublemaker is the one to blame because a nurse had put a sedative in his fore, and then this troublemaker came to him afterward and apologized, saying she intended to use him to get rid of our daughter Lena. After that, she kidnapped him and tied him up in a distant place until she could prove the charges against Lena. Of course, she said all of this was untrue and that she hadn't done anything. The journalists were crowded around her, wanting to know the details of what happened and what made her do such a thing. She told our daughter, "You're the reason. If you hadn't gotten involved with him, none of this would have happened." But unfortunately, she did this to herself, showing how sick she truly is. But thank God, the truth comes out in a moment, and one day, our daughter, while she was with Vivi, she accidentally slipped and told her that the apartment she had been staying in during that time actually belonged to our son. He was the one who bought it as soon as he found out she had rented it. She got upset because he had been deceiving her. When he came to talk to her, she refused and got on the bus. He followed her, telling people to excuse him because he was making up with his wife. He picked her up, took her to the car, gave her a quick kiss, and went back to driving. When they sat down together in peace, he said, "Stop biting your lips already. I swear I never wanted to deceive you. I bought it just to make sure no one would bother you, so relax and forgive me." Then he told her he had something important to say and moved closer to her. One day, he made her sleep and he kept touching her to wake her up, and his hand was on her stomach as he told her that he wanted a little chick from her. She tried to escape and said, "What, baby? We're not about that," adding, "I have work to do." In the office, she was sitting with him, watching him as he worked. He asked her, "What are you looking at?" She replied, "Why can't I look? Is it forbidden?" Then she quickly apologized and sat quietly. But when he found her secretly taking pictures of him in a compromising situation, he moved next to her and told her, "If you're going to die and get close to me like this, I'll satisfy you." One time, Lena was entering the restroom and felt someone was behind her. Sure enough, a woman appeared, and Lena asked her, "Why are you following me?" But the woman denied it, even though our daughter felt. She saw her several times, so she went back home and started flipping through old photos of Jean when he was a child until she found a picture of him with the same woman who had been watching her. In the kitchen, while she was closing up with her friend, she said, "Goodbye, my dear." Jean jumped at her and asked, "Caught you? Who's your dear? Do you love someone other than me?" She quickly turned to give him a quick kiss to calm him down, but he wanted a piece of Chris. She refused, so he tried to take it from her mouth forcefully. The important thing is, she went to meet the woman who had been watching her because she figured out that she was Jin's mother. When they sat together, she learned from her that her husband used to treat her badly, preventing her from working, seeing her friends, and even deciding what she could wear. She had to wear closed clothes until he started hitting her, so she became afraid of him and decided to run away. But she missed her son, which made her return at certain times to keep an eye on him. That's why our daughter plans to help her so they can fix their relationship. At the company, she went to sit with him, and he had brought food for her. She was teasing him with it, and he said, "Enough with the food, I want to eat you." Just then his secretary knocked, saying she needed him for something important. He told her it could wait and tried to get closer to our daughter. She knocked again, saying it was urgent. He snapped, "Leave before I fire you." She stayed silent, and our daughter then said to him, "I want to take you somewhere where there are no people, just the two of us." He asked her, "What are you going to do then?" And as soon as he whispered in her ear, he took her and went back home. The next day, she woke up early because his mother came to give her food. She pretended to be preparing a frame for him and served him some of the food his mother had made. He felt something was off because the taste of the food made him recall his childhood. Anyway, he went to work, and she took advantage of his absence before lunch. She had her aunt come to cook lunch, and they spent time talking about Jean, what he liked, and what he disliked. But things couldn't go smoothly because suddenly, Jean showed up at the house and saw them. He was startled and said to our daughter, "What is this woman doing here?" She tried to calm him down, but he acted like a raging bull, telling her to leave. She gathered her things and left while our daughter, while she was trying to hold the pot, she burned herself and felt suffocated because of what Jean had done. But when she was lying down, he came to apologize. He asked her, "What happened to your hand?" She replied, "Leave me alone after what you did today." He exploded, saying, "It wasn't me who left you. When I was a kid, I was so attached to her, and in one moment, she just left me. She never thought about how I'd feel when she left." She got closer to comfort him because she understood his feelings. She asked him to give her a chance and talk to her, so they could clear things up. He agreed, not wanting our daughter to be upset. And indeed, the aunt came over after our daughter invited her for lunch. But Jean had taken a bit of a step back and was treating her with caution, while Lena was being considerate toward her. She noticed and gave her a gift, saying, "This is for you." Lena felt it was an expensive gift. Jean then said, "My wife doesn't need jewelry." But Lena told him to be quiet for a moment and go check who was outside. When he went out, he found Nanny, the psycho who had tried several times to hurt her and Jean, attempting to ruin their relationship. Fanta and Lena went out to see who it was, and he looked at his mother and said, "I missed you, Mom." Of course, he said it sarcastically as she wasn't his mother, but she had cared for him when he was little because she was Jin's friend. Unfortunately, their relationship had deteriorated over time. After they left, our son told Lena that Nanny had lived next to them and his mother had passed away. Mom Jean was the one who took care of him as if he were her own son. Exactly like that, but in the end she left both of them and walked away. The artist hated Jean and hated his mother even more because he considered her to be like his real mother, but she also left him. One day, our daughter went out in the morning to buy some things and accidentally ran into Nan. She invited her for breakfast, but Nan refused because she had work. However, she realized that Nan was lying and told her, "You're not going to work dressed like this." She then said, "Your husband told you to stop talking to me." Nan replied, "No, not at all," and went to have breakfast with him so he wouldn't misunderstand. They talked for a little while until she suddenly felt dizzy and didn't understand the cause of her fatigue. He suggested that maybe she was pregnant, which shocked her for a moment. She went home and bought a pregnancy test to confirm, and it turned out she was pregnant. She didn't know how to tell him, so she decided to make it a surprise for his birthday. But while she was in the room, he came close to her and she told him, "No, stay away, I have circumstances." He replied, "Didn't she just come to you 2 weeks ago?" She said, "Yes, but she came again. Now, please give me some space." Anyway, the days passed, and Jean was traveling, returning on his birthday. As soon as he entered the house, he found everyone waiting to celebrate with him. But when he asked where Lena was, they told him, "She didn't come to pick you up from the airport." He was shocked because she hadn't come. Meanwhile, our daughter woke up to find herself trapped in a strange place and couldn't figure out how to get out. Then, her treacherous friend entered with some food for her, and she said, Aren't you tired of what you've done before? And now you expect food from your hands." She took a sip of the juice and told her, "Don't worry, I'm not going to kill you. Just drink." Lena remembered something important when Jean gave her an earring and told her it was important because he had put a GPS tracker inside it. She asked her to give her the earring because it meant a lot to her. She agreed to bring it to her, unaware of what was inside it. Meanwhile, Jean was searching for her using the GPS in the earring, but it was Nan who had kidnapped her and was keeping an eye on her. When he saw her treacherous friend come in with the earring, he became suspicious. There was something, so he went to check and told the girl with him to get rid of the earring somewhere far away. Lena was shocked when she realized he was the one who had kidnapped her, and she ran outside, trying to find a way out. She found herself trapped in his house, not understanding why he was doing all of this. He told her, "You don't know what I've been through because of your beloved one, his dog," and asked his guard to remove it. She replied, "If you're so good with animals, why can't you be good with humans?" He was shaken by this, because no human had ever been good to him, even the people he loved. He grabbed her and left quickly before anyone could find them. No one knew where they were because the girl. His companion threw the earrings somewhere far from his house, making the situation even harder for them. The days passed, and our daughter was still far from him, and he couldn't find a way to reach her. This made him resort to drinking and staying out late to forget. Eventually, a woman got close to him, and the media caught photos of it, causing a scandal about him cheating on his wife. When Jean saw this, he punched him and said, "How can your wife be missing, and you're out partying with someone else?" He replied, "What do you want from me? Even if she comes back, we will never be the same again." Jean punched him again and said, "Stay like this, and I'll search for her myself." Unfortunately, this was Jin's way of coping with sadness. No one ever truly understood him. Meanwhile, when Lena woke up, she found Nan, the psychopath, sleeping next to her, and she was terrified. He asked her, "What's wrong? Why are you so scared?" She replied, "Tomorrow, Jean will find me and I'll end up in prison." He kept laughing and told her, "How is Jean going to find you? He's nothing but women." He showed her the picture that was leaked of him, but she didn't believe him. She said, "No matter how hard you try to separate us, you won't succeed. I know very well how much he loves me." This angered him, and he shoved her into the corner and strangled her, because he hated people whose emotions controlled them, like her. But he stopped when he remembered she was pregnant. Of course, he wasn't going to keep her alive for long. No one knew where they were, because Jin's mother knew a lot about Nan and reported a possible location to the police. She was there and spoke to him, asking, "Did you kidnap Lena to try and stop him?" But the girl with him told him, "The police found our location." He responded, "Well, Aunt, if you want to report me, go ahead, but you're trying to win your son's heart at my expense." Meanwhile, Jean had arrived at the location with the police. When they entered, they found no one because they had left exactly 5 minutes earlier. After all, Nan wasn't stupid, he was alert. But in Nan's car, our daughter said to him, "How long are you going to keep running away with me like this?" He replied, "Until your husband completely loses hope." She asked to go to the bathroom because she was pregnant and promised she wouldn't escape. He decided to enter the same bathroom with her because he knew her tricks well. A little while later, the police arrived. They were at the same location because a girl there had reported that a woman had been kidnapped. While our daughter was in the bathroom, Nan entered with her. The girl was startled, but Nan told her he was our daughter's husband and was with her because she was pregnant. The girl then asked her for tissues. While she was giving her the tissues, she wrote on her hand to tell her to report to the police. The girl sensed something was wrong and immediately contacted the police. But as usual, they couldn't reach her because Nan was always one step ahead. The next day, the girl who was with Nan brought our daughter some food. Our daughter asked if she could sit and talk with her for a while since she was alone. She spent the whole day with her and placed her phone on the table. Lena decided to take advantage of the situation and talk to her, asking what made her stay with Nan like this. The girl explained that her father had a lot of debt, and Nan was the one who paid it off, so she decided to serve him for the rest of her life after her future seemed lost. However, Lena sensed that this wasn't the whole story and that she might actually have feelings for Nan, which is why she was trying to stay close to him. Anyway, the girl left without noticing that she had left her phone behind. Lena quickly locked the door behind her with the key and tried to call Jean from her phone, but Nan caught up with her. He slammed the door shut, took the phone from her, and told her that she wouldn't be able to escape him in any way, and that he could do whatever he wanted to her. But she responded that he couldn't harm her because, after all, he had considered her his only friend, which was why, up until that point, he hadn't been able to hurt her. He only wanted to hurt Jean. At that moment, he decided to show her his true face and told her, "I can hurt you any way I want, without leaving any marks on you. You're just a tool I use to get rid of Jean." She then decided to give in and not deal with him violently, realizing that every time she used force, it only made things worse for her. She asked him to bring her some drawing paper and colors to pass the time, since she was captive and there was no other form of entertainment here. He agreed and brought them to her. She began drawing cartoon sketches in certain places. When he looked at them, he was really impressed and asked her to give him 2 of the drawings. Of course, his intention was to take the drawings and show them to Jean. When he spoke to Jean, he told him, "I want you to come to me tomorrow alone, or you'll never see her again." When Jean met with him, he continued to negotiate, telling him that he would do whatever he asked as long as it would hurt his wife, the love of his life. He left her drawing behind. At that moment, Jean started thinking about the drawing in a broader sense because it was clearly a message she had sent him through it. And indeed, it was true. She was describing the place where she was being held captive. After much thought, he managed to find the place and went there to rescue her, but Nan had found out later that the police were on their way. He didn't have time to take her and escape because Jean arrived just then. Nan, of course, lost his mind, drew his weapon, and told Jean he would kill her. The girl with him was scared and felt that he would actually carry out his threat. She was terrified to the point that she froze, preventing him from doing anything. A struggle broke out between Jean and Nan, and in the end, Nan managed to get to his gun and was about to shoot the girl. However, the bullet hit Jean, who fell to the ground, bleeding heavily. Lena was sitting next to him, crying. Nan quickly fled, while Jean told her to try to live her life without him. She remained there. She cried and told him, "How can you leave us? Please, I want our son to grow up without his father." At the hospital, everyone was anxiously waiting outside, and as soon as the doctor came out, he told them that Jean had fallen into a coma and they needed to prepare themselves for the worst. Lena collapsed and fainted. When she woke up, she was furious and wanted to go see him, but his grandmother refused, telling her that she had to take care of the child in her womb, as he also had rights over her. She reassured her that Jean would be fine and not to worry. Day by day, Jean remained in a coma, and Lena tried to manage work matters in his absence, until his mother revealed her true intentions. She called for a meeting to vote on removing Jean from the management, given that he had fallen into. She went into a coma, and Lena went to attend that meeting. When Jean's mother saw her, she asked, "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be with your husband in the hospital?" Lena replied, "I came to stop you from achieving what you're trying to do." They entered the meeting, and behind them were Jean's disfigured face and his grandmother. The voting began, and Jean's mother was very confident in herself, as she had spoken to most of the shareholders. However, what she didn't know was that Lena had also spoken to them. In the end, they rejected the request to remove Jean from his position as chairman of the board. After the struggle, Lena returned to the hospital, heartbroken without him. She told him, "Wake up because I can't do this anymore. I can't stand it without you." At that moment, he started to regain consciousness and said to her, he said, "How could I leave my wife, my love, and the mother of my child all alone?" She started crying and told him, "I thought you wouldn't wake up again." He hugged her and said, "I'm here. I can't leave you." She told him, "Wait, let me get you the gift I prepared for you." It was a picture of their son in her womb. He looked at it, tears of joy in his eyes. The next day, he was sitting in the hospital room, upset. She asked him what was wrong, and he revealed that he knew what had happened at the company because of his mother. She apologized to him, asking him not to be upset and admitting that she had trusted his mother. She didn't deserve a second chance. But Jean wasn't upset because he knew well how his mother was, and he had gotten used to it. A few days later, he was discharged from the hospital. After he recovered, he left the hospital, and the journalists were waiting outside. However, he refused to speak too much in front of them, giving them only useful information. He got into the car with Lena and told her, "I'm telling you, isn't it time for us to throw our wedding party?" She told him, "Stop, what are you talking about? Is this really the time?" He replied, "Yes, of course, this is the most important time," and he leaned closer to her. A few days later, she went to the cinema with her friend Wi-Fi to attend the premiere of a new movie. While in the cinema hall, she received a message from Wi-Fi saying, "Come meet me in the room next to the cinema hall." When she went there, Nan was waiting for her, and he took her with him. Meanwhile, Cho was looking for her and asked Wi-Fi about her. She told him, "Wait, I'll call her." She discovered that her phone had been stolen, but this time, Nan took things too far. He beat her and threw her in front of a tree as if he were seeking revenge. He told her that he would use her to figure out how to escape the country and called Jean to come alone. As soon as Jean arrived, Nan started threatening him with her, saying he had to get him out of there and come up with a plan to take revenge on his mother and everything that would destroy Lena. Jean replied, "Leave her, and I'll do whatever you want." But Lena told him, "You're a coward. Do you think anyone will care or mourn you when you kill someone after everything you've done? You'll remain ungrateful for the rest of your life." Nan then heard the sound of police cars and started to get scared. Lena quickly pushed him before he could lose control and hurt her, so the police would catch him in seconds and take him away. From that moment on, every moment became important to Jean. They threw a wedding party for him and Lena, and her belly had grown quite big by their birthday. They invited all their family and friends to the celebration, until suddenly, she went into labor. She started screaming as they tried to help her calm down so she could give birth to the baby safely and peacefully. Thank God, the child was born and would grow up in honor and pride, rocking in his mother's arms. And here, we've reached the end of the first part of our series. What do you think the second part will be about? Are there still more twists and turns with them? As for me, I'm ready for anything. The important thing is that you don't get bored of me. Stay tuned for the second part soon, my dears. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Goodbye.